Okay, now, hi everyone. This is Debbie, and I'm a minute or so late because I something was confused, so I got it straightened out, and here I am. And today I'm going to be working on some domino and game piece art, and I'm going to be using them on little journals. So that's pretty much what it's about. So I hope everyone shows up in a little bit. And for those that are watching later, thank you so very much. I'm happy for you to be here, and you're always welcome. So, what I've done is I've taken dominoes and I'm using the plastic dominoes. Hi, Mina. Thanks for coming. I'm using the plastic dominoes that come, I buy them at Walmart, or I used to, and they come in a tin usually. I think you can still get them there like this. It's been a while since I bought any. And so you get a nice box, but you also get a lot of dominoes. And they are plastic, and you can drill them. It takes a little bit of effort, but they are drillable. You can paint them, uh, mark on them. Probably if you had the right tools, you could carve them, but I have not tried doing that. Oh, I'm glad you're here too, Mina. So basically, I just take these and do different techniques on them. It's not a new thing to do. It's been around for a good while, and I actually pulled these out of the box that has been sitting around for a while, and they were half finished. So I pulled them out and worked on them, and they're pretty much close to being finished now. So this is one technique that I use, and what happens is the domino, which is white. Hi, Mary Lou. Thanks for coming. The domino, which is white, I take a magic marker. I'm sorry, not a magic marker. I take Stays on ink and I stamp images on there. Or you could draw images on there also. Hi, Angie Brown. You can also draw images on there. And you just draw it directly onto the domino. And when you do that, then it will look, you'll get a black and white line drawing like is on this one. Get that glare out of there. Or these have not had anything done to them other than stamping with Stays on ink with a stamp. Hi, Brenda. Thanks for coming. This is a game piece. It's nice and flat. I don't know the name of this game, but it's kind of like you play it kind of like rummy in a way. I don't. That's all I remember about it. But it has a whole lot of all. It's just like cards, but they're also plastic, and they are a creamy colored plastic. And you can use them the same way. I think they're probably made out of a similar material. I don't think it's exactly the same, but it's a similar material. So it stamps real nice. It's the images are very clear if you do a good job. Now here are the same ones. I didn't do as well of a job on this one, but still, it's fine. And you use the Stays on ink because if you're going to mark over it with Sharpies or something like that. Hi, Janet. Thank you for coming. That's what my granddaughter always used to say when she was little. Thank you for coming. She said it to everybody that she saw. So I just stamped different images on here so they would look like this, something similar to this. And then I went back and colored the images. I actually used some magic markers, not magic markers, what do they call them? Sharpies. I used Sharpies. I used paint, pens. I used regular paint. And then on some of these, I put a gold finish on the edges, which kind of makes it look real pretty, especially on the oriental ones. And then I like to paint the edges black. Now I'm going to be putting these on the tops of little journals, on the covers of little journals. I'm going to pick 2 of them out because I have 2 little frames, little white frames that are just about, about, oh, I don't know, 4 inches square maybe. And I just take them and put them right smack in the center, and it makes a real nice little wall decoration. I'll pick out 2 out of here that I think will look the best and do those. So that's what happens. You stamp it, you color it, whichever way you desire to color it, and finish it however you want. And then I paint the black edges and neaten things up a little bit. Let it dry really well, and then these will receive a finish coat to protect them. Because right now I could take a sharp object and run it across there and it would scrape. It would scrape off. So I want to make sure I put something on there that will protect it. And I haven't done this before, but I think this time I'm going to use resin. I think I'm going to try that on one of them and see how it works, if I can get it neat enough on there. If not, then I'll just go back to using spray varnish or something like that. So either way I go, I have to put some kind of finish on them. Right now, it's fine. It's not rubbing off or anything. But like I said, if I took something sharp and scraped it across there, it would make a mess out of it. So that's how you get these. Stamp it on with Stays On, color it in, paint the edges, and these are just, like I said, they're just dominoes. I don't worry about how the back looks. I've made pins out of these just by putting a piece of felt on the back with a pin, so that you could pin it on your jacket or something. And I framed them. What else have I done? I've made dangles with them. And to do that, you would just take ribbon, and a ribbon that would fit on the side, like one of those little 1/4 inch ribbons. That's about how deep it is, a 1/4 inch. And you start with a piece at the top, you go around, round, come back. And then you could slide a bead on those 2 pieces of ribbon all the way down to this, and that sort of finishes it off, and then you could just tie it at the top and hang it. So that's another thing you can do. There's lots of things you can do with them. They make cute necklaces. They're not too heavy, but they're heavy enough to where they hang really well. So that's how you do these. Now, when I was playing with these the other day, I had an idea of another technique to use. So I'm gonna push these out of the way, and we'll come back to one of these in a bit, and I'll show you. I'm gonna make a little journal to put one on. So I'll push those aside. I had some dominoes that were, well, even these. I don't know if you can see it. You can probably barely see an image on there. And I had cleaned off what was on there. This one too, because I didn't like it. So I cleaned it off and scrubbed it off of there. And that's what this one was. It had something on it that was blue. It glares terrible, I know. I'll put it back down. There. Had something on it that was blue. And when I tried to clean it off, it had stained, it left a stain. So the underneath of this one is still blue. So then I took black paint and just painted all the way over it, over everything that was there. It was just stained. There's a little bit of an image on there. If you were really close, you probably could see it. See where those lines are? That's the image. That's pretty unfocused, but let's try that. Yeah. But so there's also an image under there that you can still see. But it doesn't really hurt it, it just looks like it's shaded kind of. So what I did was I painted it all over, and then I took a sharp tool. It could be anything. I had this one laying close by. It's a picker tool. I'm echoing. Wonder why. Where's my phone? Nope, my phone's off. Am I still? Does anybody else hear me echoing? Nobody? Not here. Angie, it could be you, babe. It could be coming from yours that's echoing. If no one else is hearing it, it's not from me. So check your settings or your headset or whatever. So anyway, this I took the sharp tool and I just drew a little design on here. And this is a test, so I'll I'll show you on this one how it works first. And you can see on this side, all I did, it's just like writing. You just use that little tool and do whatever you want to do. Now the edges were painted orange, so here's another tool. You can, the thicker the point, the thicker your line's going to be. And then if you want it to be even thicker, you can just remove some of the paint. So this is like, I don't know how many of you, when you were in grade school or whatever, you did those things where you would color something really heavily with a wax crayon, then paint it over with ink or black paint, and then go back and scratch out your picture. It's the same idea. It's just on a smaller scale and with a different kind of product. So that's what I was doing with this. So I thought, well, this is pretty cool. I like this because it looks different. It's a little different looking. And I was pretty pleased with how it came out. So this is my test. This is my test. And I could see doing a lot of fun things with this. So I took, while we're here, I'm going to go ahead and do a different one. I have 4 of them started in all different colors to see how they come out. But this one, what you do is you use the blank side, you scribble on it with a Sharpie. That's all I did was just, this one's black. I scribbled on it with a black Sharpie. And now I'm going to put yellow on this one. Now the other ones I put the color underneath. This time I'm putting black underneath and yellow on the top. So I'm just going to do this real quick and so it can dry for a bit. I've lost my towel. I always lose my rag. Okay. And you just literally just slop it on there. This will take more than one coat. The black takes about one coat, one nice coat. But this one will take more, I'm sure. And also this is kind of you can kind of see through this yellow. It's kind of sheer. But if you get it super, super thick, then it's a little harder to get nice, sharp lines. So you want to put enough on there to cover everything, totally cover everything, but not so thick that it's, ridiculous. So I'm going to let this dry for a second so I can put another coat on there. Oh my gosh, Angie. So I just thought this was a fun little project to share. I'm going through my things and trying to use up stuff that I've had for a long time. And this was one of those projects. So here we go. We got another one. This one's orange underneath. So if, I don't know what, I put something on here. How about we just try little flowers? So it's really simple to do. It's just a matter of scratching through that paint. And the more you scratch, the more the color shows through. So you can actually scratch off all of the paint if you want you want it to look solid like that. Sorry, I can't help the glare. The paint is kind of shiny. Hi, Anne. Nice to see you. I really enjoyed your stream this morning. I watched it on the way to church. It was very good. So yeah, so you get the idea. You just scratch off what you don't want to have there. In this case, whatever you leave will be the shadow, or the we'll leave the texture. With the yellow one, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be like reverse. So there's a little flower. Let's put some stems. Leave room for a few more little flowers and leaves. Another one right here. And it's just kind of fun to do. Now, of course, when this is, I might have said this already, when this is all done, it's going to need a finish coat of some kind on it, or every time something hits it, it's going to scratch off, just like I'm doing right here. I really think you could use clear nail polish or water-based sealer finish like you'd put on wood or something. Or you can spray it with a spray varnish. You probably could put any kind of the crystal glazes and things like that on there. I still do that, Janet. I still do it. In fact, I have a bunch of things that I'm getting ready to work on in that for that. I put flowers and sayings and just little pictures and all different kinds of things. I even cut them down to where they're half the microscope slide and make them long and narrow. I've done round ones. Yeah, I was just looking at my supplies the other day thinking I need to do some more of those. So you get the idea for this. You can I mean, you know, your imagination is the limit of what you can do. But it's just a little piece of art that you can play with. So there's that one. And like I said, they're all different colors. This one's red. I think this one's green. And this one's blue. No, purple, I think. I don't know. Maybe it's blue. So that's the idea for these. Look how cute that looks. It looks better on the camera than it does in person, really. But it's fun. Something different. Now, when these are all done, I'll paint the edges black also, so they'll be nice and finished. And then I'll probably put these on tops of little journals too. So there are those. Oh, we need to put some more yellow on here. And we'll try that later before I end. Yeah, for this yellow, I wasn't thinking I should have used a different color because the yellow's going to take several coats to get it covered. And this is just regular craft paint, Americana craft paint. Now I've also used the alcohol ink markers to color the pictures with. Let's see which one. I don't know, I think this one was done with alcohol ink, most of it. And then after it was done, I went back with my pit pen and relined it so that the outlines would show up real nice. So it's like, you know, try everything. And when I use the paint pens for the coloring the pictures, I did it fairly lightly. Like for instance, on these guys, I took the paint pen and colored in, just, you know, lightly colored it, or not lightly, but thinly covered it And then I took this towel and I just dabbed it like this and lifted it up. And that took off the excess paint. I still needed to go back and put the lines in though so that they would show up really well. But I was pleased with how it turned out. Okay, we'll set this aside. Now what I'm using these for this time, in this case, is I'm going to put them on the covers of some small journals. And here's one that I have ready to work on. Thank you, Brenda. They're fun. Hi, Carol. Thanks for coming. So the process is, I did this ahead of time because I didn't want to take up all our time. But this is just one of those, I'm trying to think of what it's called. I think everybody's probably done these before, where it's one page and you cut it and then you fold it all up. I didn't have a page big enough, so I glued 2 pages together, 2 book pages together, and then made it the size I wanted, that so this would fit on the cover. So then I cut the covers out just a little bit bigger than the inside, than the pages. So this will go on this cover. I started to make the 3-inch square ones, which is what I usually make when I make these, but I just decided I wanted it to be closer to the size of the domino because I wanted little books to start with. So when I get ready to put this on, I really need to glue some pages together first. It's going to be in this way, like this, because some of them are sideways. So it's going to be this way, and the book will open like that. So I have to go in and see which pages need glued together. But what's going to happen in the end is the front and back page will be attached to the cover. So this page will be attached to the cover. And this page will be attached to the cover. And there will be a little lace spine going between them. And then it will have some sari silk as a tie. Okay. So first I'm going to take care of gluing the page. But first I'm going to get a drink of water. So glue, we need glue. And what I mean is gluing the pages, some of them need to be glued together. So I'm just going to flip through it just like it's the book. Now I'm not worrying about gluing it back here. I'm just worried about, not worrying, but I'm just looking at where it needs glued. For instance, right here, it needs glued. And what I do is I make pockets out of them. First, I need to find my hole punch. Since this is a tiny book, I'm going to use a smaller hole punch to make a thumb place. So I hope this will be understandable. So here's my pages that are fine. These 2 pages will get glued at the bottom. It'll make sense as I go along, I hope. Just the bottom. Now remember, this is the spine. So here we go. Here's the first one. Here's the one I just glued together. And that's going to make a pocket in here from the top. So I'm going to, there's a fly. So I'm going to punch this one. It's a little fiddly because I have to turn things around and around, but you'll get the picture. So I'm going to punch this one because that's a pocket. So you'll be able to tell it's a pocket. And I really do like to glue this pocket edge down too, but just really close. Really close. And you have to make sure you're keeping everything aligned. So again, there's the first page. Here's the first pocket. going in this way. And here's the next page. Now it's going to be another pocket because see, it's attached at the top already. So this one is going to be a pocket going in. Now, I may not see people coming in or what you're saying for a few minutes because if I don't kind of halfway concentrate on this, it'll be a mess. So I glued it back here and down here, and my pocket's at this end. So again, I'm going to put a little thumb hole or whatever that's called. Okay. Remember, these are my pages. So I can either make this next one a pocket, or I could just make it a whole page. So I'm just going to make it a thick page and glue these together. Is this making sense? So there's the one I just glued together before it was folded. So this is a folded plug. So I just glued it together so it's like a little whole page. Here's another one. So, you know, every time it's, and on this one in particular, it's probably going to be a lot of these that can be glued as a pocket or as a page because, right, Mina, exactly. That's the one I'm talking about. The cut like an M one. That's what I call it too. I know it has a name, but I can't remember what it is. So each time I get to decide, okay, do I want to make another little pocket or do I want this to be a page? So I think I'm going to just make this a page. So I'm going to glue these two together so they don't flip around. Okay, so there's a page. Here's this one's already a page. I don't have to glue it, but I like to. I'm just going to glue this one at the bottom, and it can still be a pocket at the top. And I'll just do this. Uh-oh. That's what happens. It gets confusing. Okay, back to the front. This is where I'm going. Okay, right. Page, page, pocket. See, here's another one. I'm just going to make it a page. I don't need 20 million pockets. You can put them in there if you want to. I'm just not today. Page, page. I'm just going to glue this one. I know it gets confusing when I turn it around, but that's the only way I can do it without getting off track. So I'm just going to go through here and do that. It'll take me a second. If you wanted to, you could actually do it after the book's together, but I think it's much harder that way. And if you do it that way, everything's flopping around, you know, so it gets too confusing. Okay, there's that one, and this one. Now, when you cut these little booklets out, to make the book going this way, you know, with the covers, with it going in portrait mode, then you cut it a little differently. I'm pretty sure I showed that on another, where am I? I'm pretty sure I showed that on another stream as to how you figure out which way it goes. Almost done. fly? Flies are swarming right now, apparently. We had a bunch of them outside. Angie's going to take a nap. She's in the nap club. I guess this one will be a pocket. Oops. Keep dropping the glue. Still going this way. Nope, going this way. See, it's easy to get it turned around. Pocket, let's see, where am I? Yep, pocket. And the good thing about putting these little thumb things in there, you can tell where the pockets are, because sometimes it's hard to tell unless something's sticking out of it. Okay. And so you can treat these pages just as you would any other journal pages. You can add pockets to them. You can put flip outs. You can just do whatever you want. It's just smaller. I'm not going to do any of that today. I'm just showing you the basics of this. I think I'll make that a pocket. And then there's the last page. Okay, so now that part's done. And that always takes a little bit, especially when you have this many pages. Okay, set that aside. Now the next thing is to cover the covers. So I picked out 3 jelly prints that I thought might go with this. I really like this one. This one's nice too. I really like this print. I think though, I might go with the red. I think that will really be pretty against that black. And it's really almost the same color as the fan. What do y'all think? Any ideas? Which one would look better? Well, I'm so blind. Here we go. There. Okay. So I have to make the covers first, and they get made separately. They're not going to be attached first. Red, red. Okay, red. Well, that's 3 votes for red, so that's why I'm going. Going with red. Isn't this one pretty, though? I really like it. But this has a little bit of everything. It's got the turquoise, it's got the red, it's got the gold, a little bit of gold. So I think that one's the choice. So I'll set this aside. And all I'm going to do is cover both of these. So just fold it in half. And I love the way this feels. It just feels thick and luxurious. And it's just a piece of book paper. No, this is a piece of copy paper. So just gonna cover this. Yeah, Mina, but you know what? I have all these other ones to do. I think this would be pretty with several of them. So I'm not going to waste the pretty stuff on the inside because it already actually has its own inside covers at the front page of the insert. So, but yeah, if I was doing something more elaborate, I certainly would, because they're both pretty. Okay, so we'll just glue that in the middle. I started making these little books as prayer journals. Whenever I would go to retreats and stuff, I'd make a whole bunch of them to give away, you know. And what I used them for is, you know, I would say anyone who would like for me to remember them in prayer in my daily prayer life, write your name in my book. So I would leave my book laying on my table where my supplies were, where I was working. And then if they wanted to, they could put their name in there. And most people did, you know. So that's how I used them. And then I gave them out as gifts too. Everyone seemed to like them. They could use it however they wanted. It didn't have to be a prayer journal, you know. But that's what I used mine for. Okay, so those are trimmed. Now I'm just going to do a simple fold over thing. You could do this with tape if you wanted to. Sometimes I think glue is just faster than tape, or just as fast as tape. Might be a little more convenient, I don't know. So I just fold my corners in and press the paper all the way down in the side. So if you look, you can see how it's been pressed down right here into the fold. You can do it any way you like, whatever your preference is. Okay. Then I put my glue here so that it'll attach to that, and then on the rest of it. And just fold it over. You want it to be nice and tight to that edge. Sometimes I use cardboard even thicker than this, 2 to 3 times as thick as this. It makes cute little fat books. Now remember, this is going to be covered, but I like to give myself enough space here that it folds in really far. So my inside cover can be a little smaller and show more of the pattern on the inside also. I swear, this fly is driving me nuts. Where's my... Let's see, I think that's going to look real pretty. Oh, I'm out of thing, sorry. There we go. It's going to be a fat little book with that on there, but I think it'll be cute. So there you go. I'll do this one real quick. Got that yellow paint on me. This paper what it feels like is vinyl wallpaper. This paint is so nice on it. It makes it feel like vinyl wallpaper. You know how it's thick and it kind of has that, not rubbery, but I guess that's the only way I know to explain it, like rubbery feel to it. Okay. And there's going to be a little hinge, and the hinge is just going to be made out of lace. Normally, I make the hinge. The hinge is actually the tie, but this time I'm going to make it separate. I like to do different things, try new stuff. I mean, what's going to happen? It's just a little piece of paper. If it messes up, it messes up. Who cares? You do little things so that you can learn how to do stuff, and then you go on to the bigger projects where you can use what you learned on the little ones. That's the way I look at it. So I like to experiment on the little stuff. And I like making little stuff. Okay. Okay, so there's the two covers. Which one I want to be the front? Well, I like this. I like that right there, but I think I don't know. That doesn't have to be in the center either. It could be off kilter. Bye, Carol. Hope you have a good day. I think I might do it like that. Okay, so that's the front. This is the back. Okay, so it's going to go like this. Now our papers are going to take up some room. Take up about that much room. So we need to leave space for them. Now I've lost what I was doing. Okay, it's like this. Okie dokie. Okay, so that's the front. This is the back. So I'm going to line them up. Leave the right amount of space. I want to take this piece of lace. And just place it in there. I just want enough to where it will stay together, hold it together enough. In other words, I don't want to make it too short. I think I'm going to use my Fabri-Tac on here. Lay that on there. Shouldn't be using my fingernails for that. Okay, so we're going to lay that on there. And I'll let that glue set for just a minute. I'm going to go back and look at this. Make sure everything looks good. Now at this point, I like to put some glue. So here's the front page, here's the back page, and these are going to be glued into here. So I'm going to put some glue along the edges of these pages. So it's just enough to, hold them together. Okay. Right, now the other thing I have to do, let's let that sit for a minute. I have to put my tie in here. Okay, Angie, take care. Now, if I were using the tie as the binding, I would glue it all the way across. And I can still do that. I have enough. But I think maybe I will. That'll just show more of the blue in there. So if you were just, it doesn't take much to hold these together because they are small and lightweight. So I'm just sort of centering this, letting it go all the way across. If I can flatten it out. There's enough glue on there already from the lace. Wrong glue. So you take this all the way to the edge. Now I could have cut it off and just glued it from like here to here, and that would have been fine. But since it's long enough, I'm just going to go ahead and glue myself to the book. Let's go ahead and lay it out. So this will all be hidden inside the front cover, front and back cover. Okay. My glue magnet. Okay, let's see. All right, so there's that. Now, the next thing that's going to happen is I'm going to glue this little book in. So it's going to be centered for the most part over here. So here. I'll bring this over. Oops. You know, I get so used to using glitter glue that I forget everything doesn't stick that fast. Still not right. Sorry, getting a little messy here. I think that's about right. Okay, so make sure that's good and stuck. Everything looks fairly even. Oh, I see what's happening here. The lace was sticking to the edge of the spine, or this edge of the paper, and I didn't want it to. I want it to be loose like this. And remember, I had put glue on here, so it was trying to stick, so that wasn't good. Okay, so there's that. Okay, so then you just tie it to close it. Hi, Tanya. Thanks for coming. So now once this is good and dry, I don't want to mess with it too much right now, but once it's good and dry, and remember, I still need to put the finish on my domino so that it doesn't get scratched up. And I want to do that before I glue it on. So I'm not going to be gluing it on right now, but you can see how it's going to look. I'm either going to put it like this or like this. I think I'm going to put it like this. So it's just going to be a chunky little cover on this little book. And I don't know if I'll add something on here or not. I could put a word there, but I don't think it really needs it. I think maybe I'll put it in the center. I don't know yet. I'll decide. So then it'll look kind of like this. Put it down here where you can see it. Okay. So that's what I'm making these dominoes for. That's how I'm going to use them this time. Let's see. And I can add little tags in the pockets or other things. Whoops, that's the wrong way. It goes this way. Or I thought that looked different because I was going to put it over here so you could see this. I had it backwards. Sorry. So I can come back in and put things in the little pockets, decorate it however I normally would, put little tags in there, put things on the pages, you know, just whatever. And it makes a cute little book. So that's what that's about. So now I only have 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, at least 12 more to do. Which they don't take too long. It's just cutting out the pages part. That's what takes the longest. So I'm going to set this over here. Hi, Aunt Beck. I know what you mean. I don't have any power tools going today. Well, I sure am thirsty. We had Chinese for lunch, Chinese dinner for lunch. So let's see this back over here again. I'm going to put another coat on it. And for those that weren't here earlier, I'll set some of these other ones over so you can see how they turned out. And then if we have time, I'm going to work on a couple of them that haven't been colored yet. All right, let's get this done. Well, got goobers in there. Some of this paint is just about shot, and it's not that old. It doesn't stay sealed very well or something. But I'm going to use it to paint. I'm going to use the ends of the jars to paint some tissue paper. I was going to do that today, but I didn't have time to get it set up because we had company yesterday. Yeah, I think one more coat on this and it'll be good to go. And we'll try it. Okay. Yeah, those would be cute, Nina. That would be really cute for Christmas. Okay, let me get a little few of these things out of the way, a little bit. And I'm going to move these over so they don't get bothered. And let me pick some pens. I'm going to try these fine liners. I don't know, they may not work too well because I think they're water-based. Let's see what happens. Let's try one. Try it on the back. Yeah, they're not going to work on there. I'll just get out some Sharpies and some paint pens. Janet, or not Janet, Jean. Or is it Jean? Jean. No, it's Jean. Sorry. I was trying to figure out how to say it. I was making it a lot harder than it is. So these are just Sharpies. And they're not showing up too well either on here, but I'll add some more layers. Some of them show up really well and some don't. But I'm going to put this on and then I'll use the paint. Because that way it has a background. You probably can't see what I'm doing. Might buzz out if I go much closer. Let's see what happens. never know with this thing. I'm going to back out a little bit. There, maybe that'll do. Maybe that'll be good enough. Oops. There we go. I don't think that's any better. Might not be worse, but it's not any better. It's a constant problem. So I'm just sort of lightly going over where this has been stamped. And I'm trying to figure out what stamp this is because I don't recognize it right off. But it's pretty. It's got roses and looks like dogwood. Woohoo, Scrappy Girl. That sounds like fun, Dana. Been there, done that. Jeannie. Okay. Thanks. Thanks, Jeannie. I dream of Jeannie with the light brown hair. Okay, so there's some green. Let's put some red on the rose. Now you almost lose the lines, but you probably can't see them, but I can still see the lines. I'm not scrubbing across it, I'm not scrubbing across the lines. If I scrubbed at it enough, they would disappear, you know, or just come out as one big blob. But I'm not scrubbing them, so you have no idea how hard this is for me to look at these without any glare on them. I know you get glare, but I get it too. See, I can just barely see the lines. I can see the lines enough to go back and draw them back on. But this is a very fine stamp, so the lines are very fine to start with. The bolder stamp, you can see better. That stupid fly is down on my ankles, flying around my ankles. I don't know what he thinks he's going to find there, but okay. And I guess I'm just going to go ahead and do pink, if I can find some pink on the other thing, other flower. And with this, I'm just sort of tapping on little blobs of paint because I'm going to wipe most of it off. I could leave it on there, but I really just want it to sort of tint the image. Get my trusty old rag over here. So I don't know how much you can tell. Come on. It's not going to work. Anyway, I'm just putting enough on there to color it a little bit. And then I just go back to the spots that I missed and hit them and do the same thing again. So when after it's all dry and I go back and with the um, pit pen and find the lines, then it brings it all back up and it um, shows off the color better. I'm sure there's lots of different ways you can do this. You could take a teeny tiny little brush. This is a Posca pen right now. The green was a Sharpie, the red was a Sharpie. So I'm using a combination pretty much. But you can use whatever you want. I've used the alcohol ink markers. They kind of just leave a stain looking, a thin color on there. So all I'm doing is blotting up the excess paint so it's not, just standing there. And so I can kind of see through it and just get enough color to, um, to show up. Now with the paint pens, if I go back after it's dry and try to do more to it, it reacts just like you would expect it. It may take some of the color that you first put down away. Same thing with the marker, with the Sharpies. They're alcohol, they have alcohol in them. So when you go back and you try to do more, it's possibly going to lift some of the color that you put on there to start with. And if you totally mess up, you can go back, clean the tile off. Now, like I said before, it won't necessarily come out pristine. You could see some discoloration on these, but it doesn't really matter because what I put over top of it's going to hide that pretty much. So I'm not too worried about it. But and these, I did the same thing. I had some designs on them that didn't come out too good, so I cleaned it off with some alcohol, and I think I used a little bit of yeah, I did. I used a little bit of acetone, like fingernail polish remover type stuff. So I thought there was another flower on here. I'm so blind. Can't see a thing. So I've gotten to this point. So I can put some background in if I want to. Let me find a ink marker. Where are they? I have a bunch of them, but there's some of them are really dry. Really dried up. Let's try a blue. Might be dried up, I don't know. Yeah, pretty dry. I don't use them as much as I used to. That one might work. So you can, can you see that? Yeah, you can see it. So see, that's just really light. And you can't build it up because if you go to put more on there, you're probably going to lift what's already there. So you just have to kind of do as you go and be happy with that. And you can, the other thing I do is, oh, this fly. The other thing I do is I scribble a bunch on there and then take my finger and kind of lift it and it'll texture it a little bit. So it's not so streaky or it's not so, so streaky, I guess is the word I want. But now see if I go back and go over that, it kind of lifts what I had been doing. But if I use my finger to sort of pick up some of the excess, it gives it sort of a mottled effect. So that's a technique that you can use. And I'm not getting exactly up close to what I'm coloring around. So, you know, it's kind of a iffy thing. You can try something and see how it works. But this is plastic, so you have to take into account that it's not like a piece of paper. It's not going to soak it up. So whatever you do is sitting on top of that plastic, basically. But like I said, you could take a paintbrush, a little paintbrush, and absolutely paint out the design so that it looks, you know, really nicely painted, if that's what you want to do. And then you would just seal the final image with your paints on it. Now, you could also, if you, excuse me, if you really wanted a nice texture or, what do I want to say? If you want a nice texture to paint onto, you could coat these with well, phooey. I'll think of what it is in a second. Maybe. You know what I'm talking about. A ground that you use for painting. What's that stuff called? Gesso is what I'm trying to think of. Good grief. You could paint it with gesso and then, you know, draw a picture on there. Okay, Mary Lou, see you later. Or draw your picture on there or stamp on there, and it would give you a nice, more of a textured background to color on. Then you could use any of your media and just seal it later, and it should be fine. Now, bear in mind, you know, you have to take into account where it's going to be used and what's going to be doing with it. If you're making this into a keychain, you know it's not going to last very long. So then you would want to use something like resin to coat it or something like that. See, I like that better when it's So I just thought these would be fun to play with today. Okay. Now if I wanted that to be shaded, I could try shading it. Let's see if I can do the edge. Oh, that one's not even been used yet. Let me get one that's already started. Now this is the same as a Posca, only it's Arteza acrylic markers. They have a lot more colors than Posca does. Posca is very limited in their colors. So here's how I do this. If I want to, and this is also how I did the edges of these with the gold. I just take the paint, kind of hit it a few times, and then take my finger, and all I'm doing is patting. So any place I want that to be darker, I just sort of pat it, and it's patting it and blending it in is what's happening. So I'm just using a pen to apply it. You could do it with a paintbrush too, or you could just do it with your finger, dab it into paint and then do it. This is a little bit more controlled. So that gives it a little bit of depth, a little bit more depth. And that's a real simple technique. Now, if you do it too much, you're going to start lifting. So you kind of got to be careful. Just hit it a little bit. Put a little bit over here. Now I can do the same thing on the flowers, but I have to be really, really careful. But if I just want to add a little bit of, you know, something to it, I can. Again, this is paint. So I'm going to use a clean finger and just sort of tap that around. You could use a Q-tip. You could use a little soft paintbrush. Something little that, you know, because you use something big, it just goes all over the place. So now that's just enough for now to give it a little shading. That's what happens if you dot too many times. So I'm just kind of trying to keep it in the center of the flower. And then when I go back with my pit pen and redefine the lines, then it will look like it's been shaded. Is any of this making sense? No, they're not oil Sharpies, Mina. I just realized, was that a mistake? Oh no, the ones I had to shake and mix, those are Posca pens or Arteza paint pens. These are the same thing, basically. The Poscas are a little bit more opaque, I think, than the Artezas, but otherwise they work the same. They're just many, many, many more colors. Arteza has many more colors. But if you look at them, well, that's a little one, but they're basically the same. They have a felt. These are felt nib that you can actually take out, but they have felt nib, and you shake it to get the ink up in there. I'm going to do this one too. I like the Poscas, and I have all the colors and all the sizes. You know, the nibs, the different size nibs. But the selection that I've been able to find is really not much to speak of as far as colors go. But I like the Artezas really well. So far, all of their products that I've tried, I really like. I haven't tried their colored pencils because, sorry, but I like my ones I have. Not looking to get new ones. All right. Yeah, they have a lot of colors. So like with Posca, this is the pink. This is the only pink. They have pink, red, green, blue. There's like a peach color, a tan color. You know, but Arteza has several different pinky colors, several blues, several greens. So I really like them. So I'm going to add just a tiny bit of green too, I think. Oh, that one's not started yet. This is how they look when they're new. And then you shake them. And you just can hold them down. You don't have to pump them. You can just hold it down and the color will eventually start coming down. See, it's starting to come down now. So I'm just putting a really small dot and just sort of smushing it with my finger. I'm hoping to not get on the pink. Which I almost did right there. My fingers are sticky now with paint. All right. That's enough for you to get the idea of that. Now if I can put gold on here. What is this? This is yellow ochre. This is gold. I've been using gold paint. On these I used gold paint on the edges. This is a really bright gold. I need to wipe off my fingertips or I'm going to have a mess. A mess, a mess, a mess. All right, try that again. Yeah, that's really bright. I don't like that as much as the paint. Paint out. So do y'all find this interesting or boring as can be? I don't want to do that. Where's my little brush? I had my little brush. That's not it. So I just went around the edges and did exactly the same thing, pouncing. And I started out with this brighter gold because it seemed to put a good foundation on, even though it's pretty sheer. And just pat it on there. It's really prettier if you have a darker background. For instance, this has a kind of a purpley pink behind it. And the gold really looks nice on that. Or actually even this, the gold over the yellow came out real pretty. Here again, it's yellow background. But I just thought it was fun doing the gold on there. You could even do this with another color. Just like I was doing with the blue on here, you could keep layering and put more colors on there to build it up so that it looks, you know, sort of like a vignette. Now I will say that these tiles that I'm working on right now don't work as nice as the dominoes. It's a different kind of plastic. Something different about it. It still works, you know. I mean, it's a good use for game tiles. You could do this on um, the wooden game tiles, Scrabble tiles, if you wanted. Now, if you think of it, you could do collage on these. You could do a little bitty collage on these. That would be really pretty and interesting and fun to do, I think. So I'll probably do some of those before you know it. But right now I'm just going through trying to finish up things that have been started however long ago and get them out in the public. So I was wanting to make some little books anyway, some little journal books. So I thought this would be a good way to combine some things that I wanted to do. So some of these things will be for sale at the marketplace. I say that every time. That's because that's what I'm working on right now. Yeah, Mina, it does. That's why I like the black edges. Because look, it makes such a difference. I like black. I use black a lot. So anyway, that's kind of how that's done. This one's a little bit darker. Not too much, but a little. But that bright gold underneath it really helps, I found, to deepen the color. Shoe fly. Shoe fly, don't bother me. Please. So this is what I did yesterday. I worked on all these dominoes. Cleaned up a little bit. Got a lot of sewing to do. Finally got my sewing room straightened up enough to where I feel like I can go in there and sew. Well, it's not a room, it's the other side of this room, but it's divided, so I think of it as another room. All right, I'm gonna let those sit and dry. But you got the idea, of how that goes. There's Aunt Beck. She came back. And let's see. I'm gonna move these out of the way. And let's see how our yellow one's doing. It could use another coat, but we're just practicing with this one to see what it looks like to have the colors in the opposite way. So I'm just going to go ahead and try it because it's solid enough to where we can see what it's going to do. So domino, black Sharpie, yellow craft paint. Now let's see what happens. What should I put on here? A fish. This looks like it should be a fish. Okay. So I hope it's going to work. Yeah. See, I had to put a thick coat on there, so it's a little bit harder to maneuver. And it comes off. I don't know if you can see this. See the crumbs? No, it's on the back. I mean, it's on the, I guess you consider it the back, the solid side. It's too hard to do over top of the dots because they're sunk in. They're little holes. I mean, you could if you wanted, but I don't think I would want to. So you just go in and, I mean, you could take a pattern and trace something on here, or whatever you want to do, but this one is definitely harder to do than the black because this has, I don't know what I put on here, like 4 coats already, because I'm putting yellow over black. When I was doing this one, this is easy. It just glides. See, it just glides over there. This one's harder, and my lines aren't as precise. So that shows you that it really does matter how thick the paint is. It matters a lot. I'm really having to tug on that and see, like right here, I just took out more than I wanted because it's so thick it peeled. It just kept peeling. When I stopped, it continued to peel on to a thicker spot. So you can do it, and the black's going to show up. Let's see, let's do a solid. See, the black's going to show up, but that definitely did not turn out round, and I was trying to make it round. The paint's just too thick on there. So if you're going to do black with the color over it, then make sure it's not yellow, or at least if it's, you know, if it'll cover. You want it to cover, totally cover like the black is, but not be too thick. And actually, this paint feels thicker than this paint, but it's not. So that was a good um, test. But I don't want to carve on. I don't want to do this anymore because it's not going to look nice. So let's see. Here's a blue one. And I'm just using the first tool I picked up, which is a picker. Yeah. I was looking to see if I had anything better. Now see, this has got a little bit thicker tip. This is a ceramic tool. You could use a, oh, here's a, this one might work better because it's closer. Let's see. I guess it just depends on how the thing works as to whether, you know, what it'll do. Got so many little tools over here. But you really could, I think, just use an X-Acto knife. Yeah, that's right. I couldn't think of what that word was, Mean. That's why I'm glad you said that, because that's what I was thinking also. I just couldn't think of the word. I have such a glare, I can't see much of what I'm doing. But see, now here again, I must have gotten that pretty. I got a little spot right here that's thick, and it's not wanting to do very well. But then see over here, look. So that's blue Sharpie underneath there. You can just take away whatever you want, basically. I think it's pretty cool myself. And, you know, I could think of a lot of different things you could do, ways you could use it. So I've scraped off pretty much all the black in that area. And what you're seeing is the blue Sharpie underneath it, which it does scrape a little bit of the Sharpie off, I noticed, but mostly it stays there. It just makes it look a little shaded. But I'm looking forward to making some collages on some of these. And I think you could even, I think if you would like take them like this and, you know, lay them out in a stack, or not a stack, but, you know, side by side, do your collage on there and then cut them apart. I think that'd be cool. So I'm going to try that. I don't know if I have any more. I don't know if I have any more dominoes. I have to look. I still have stuff that's hiding I haven't gotten into yet from our move 4 years ago, almost 5. So now this is going to work on wood dominoes the way I'm doing this. You can paint them, but they don't usually have smooth backs. They usually have a design on them. But on these plastic ones, and you could get smaller sets. I had a huge set. I had a double 12s is what I had. And all of these have been just I think these are the last of them that I haven't, you know, haven't been decorated in some way or shape or form. But I think you can get smaller ones, smaller sets is what I'm saying. And I have no clue how much they are. I don't remember. I've had them for a long time. Now the other thing I've done with dominoes is I've taken them and made them into little books so that these were the covers. When you open the book, it's like an accordion and it opens out. And then I have a thing at the top that you can hang it with, and then also a tie that comes around, and it has a little hinge over here, paper hinge. No, those didn't have a paper hinge. Sorry, that was wrong. But it did have a hanger, and it had a thing that came around and tied so that it was tied closed, and it was just like this, like a little fat book. Those turned out really cute. I think I used playing cards on those, like the jacks and the queens and all. Just took that corner of the card and put it on the front or the back. That's like a year, maybe a year ago, if not that long. So, you know, you could do your doodling on here. Doesn't take too much preparation. But there's a lot of things you can think up. A lot more creative than me, what I'm showing. But, you know, using some of the same or similar techniques. Now, the next thing I'm going to work on, maybe not next week, but soon, I think, is this right here. I have a box full of these. I used to make Christmas trees using these blocks and little Christmas ornaments and stuff. So I got a whole box of these. One year I made with the bigger blocks. These are the small ones. With the bigger blocks I made little Christmas decorations where something was sitting on the top, like a Santa, not a Santa, a snowman or an elf or something like that, or an angel was sitting on the top, and then it had a little string at the top to hang it with, and greenery and stuff like that. Not feeling too Christmassy though, so I don't know. I don't think it's something to do with them, because they're just sitting here. They're not making anybody happy. So tonight we looked at how to make this kind of domino, decorate this kind of domino, where it's stamped and then colored and edged, and the edges are painted. Now, if you were going to hang this, if you wanted to make this into an ornament, you could, or a book decoration, you could. And you can do that by taking a ribbon, like I said before, wrapping it around the bottom and all the way back up to the top. Slide a bead down, glue your ribbon on there, glue the bead down so that it doesn't move, and then tie the top of the ribbon, and then you could just hang it up. Then you would probably want to paint the back, or you could put two together and have something different on both sides. You can glue pictures of your kids on here, make that an ornament for grandma, or things like that. You can make these into pins. I think I have an old one here. It's not a very good one. Let me get it out somewhere. Yeah, this isn't a very good one at all. Actually, I have two. You probably can't tell. This is an angel with his arms stretched out. And this has been, I want to say, I think this is embossing powder that's coating this. And then on the back, this is a piece of heavy paper, holes punched in, the pin stuck through, and then all of it glued to the back. Oops. So it makes the pin. But that's not a very good example. I mean, it just shows you how it's made. Here's one with a little dog. Same thing. So you can make pins out of them. Just whatever you come up with, you know. So we did those. We looked at those. And we still have these two guys. We discovered that heavy paint is not good. It doesn't work well. And here are these that are just stamped, that haven't been colored or anything. I kind of like them just like this. So depending on how you're going to finish them, depends on what you do on the back, you know, if you paint it or whatever. So, and then we talked about how you can scratch art them. So let me get my pit pins. And in the last few minutes we have here, I'll just do some line work on this because I think they're dry enough. Pit pins are, excuse me, India ink, which is waterproof. And they work pretty good over things like this. Sometimes you'll get a problem to where, you know, it won't ride on it because it's too slick or whatever. But this is pretty slick and it's doing okay. So I'm just kind of making up my own. I mean, there's leaves here. I'm not necessarily trying to exactly copy what the stamp was. I'm just drawing a leaf on there when I can see it. Let's see. If I can't see it, I just draw something anyway. So this is not like a perfect science type thing, you know. It's kind of, you get what you get. You get what you get. Still, it's not totally dry on the edges. My fingers are sticking. And this was a rose, and I can't see the lines right now because of the glare. Otherwise, my head would be like, you know, over top of it. But I'm just going to fake a little rose in here. And these were little, they look sort of like, what did I say? Dogwood. But I'm not going to worry about that. I'm just going to draw in some lines. Just enough to indicate that it's a flower of some kind. I'm not too worried about being precise on here. And there's another rose down here, which you could barely even see. That's the best I can get it, sorry. You can't really see the lines very well. You can see them on the leaves, a little bit on the flowers. So that's the idea. Once you're finished, you can go back, and because the paints, they're opaque, which means, you know, you can't see through them when they're in their proper consistency. So they're going to cover up all those lines that show detail. So you can just go back in and kind of help them out. Now there's another technique that I used to use where I would take the domino, and I used what kind of inks are those? Dye inks. And I took a little sponge, and would just, you know, dab them all over there in different colors so that it looked really pretty. And after that dried, then I would stamp over that, and then it was done. So that works out really well too. It's a lot simpler. There's not as many steps, and it comes out looking really pretty. And you probably could use, that's been years ago, so they didn't have some of the inks that they have now. So you probably could use some of those inks now and have it come out really pretty. But you do have to remember, this is plastic. And like anything that's plastic and slick, you know, you just got to go with what it'll do. And you're just having fun anyway, so whatever, you know. Okay, so here's some more flowers. Now I'm sure there are a lot of things, probably on YouTube even, about domino art. So take some time and go look, see what you can find that's inspiring. You might find something you want to try. I've not taken time to do that recently, but I bet there's a bunch of stuff on there. I'm using a real fine tip pen. I think it's the smallest one they have. They call it SX. I'm not sure what size it really is. I don't see where it says. So anyway, that's pretty much, yes, Mina, you have to put some kind of finish over them if you if they're if you use them any place besides behind glass, or you know what I'm saying. If they're out in the world all on their own, they need some protection. Don't let them leave the house without protection. You don't know how they'll come back. So you can spray varnish them, which works pretty well. I'm going to try some using some resin. See how that works. I have some resin that works under a light that I haven't tried yet, so I'm going to try that because I think it's a little bit more friendly and you get immediate results. You don't have to wait till the next day and see what happened, which is what I usually have to do. So, thank you all for coming. I always appreciate it. I hope you found this fun, and I hope you decide to try some on your own. And I look forward to seeing any of the results that might come about. I try to be here every Sunday. I missed a couple Sundays ago, but that was kind of unavoidable. But I try to be here every Sunday at 4:00 p.m. Central Time. And I'm always happy to see anyone show up and add to the information that we're giving out. Thanks, guys, for being here. And at that, I guess I'm going to say bye and hope you have a great week coming up. Enjoy yourselves, be safe, and love your neighbor. Okay. Bye bye, ladies.